Welcome back to our show, Empower Your Life. I'm your host, Cindy Marie. Our next guest, she is a Filipina, the climate reality leader of the Climate Reality Leader Project, or TCRP. It's an organization founded by a Nobel laureate and by former US Vice President Al Gore. She's also well known as Peachie Keen and Green on her social media, where she covers a lot of things, including environmental, social justice, and many more, which we're going to cover that in this episode. I'll let her share many hats of hers in this episode. So without further ado, let's all welcome our next guest, Miss Peachie Valera. Hi, Peachie.
Hi, Cindy. Thank you for having me, and to the viewers, hello, mabuhay, wherever you are in this planet.
Thank you so much. I know we we have talked for a while now, and I'm very happy that at last we are doing this for the final one. And thank you so much. So, kamusta ka? How are you?
Right now, I feel like my 2022 had a rocky start. We had some deaths in the family last December, and then we also contracted COVID, the whole family. But I feel it's not totally bad either. There were lots of learning and renewal in between that gave me time to really rest, engage in true rest, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I would say it would be a biggest good in my present book.
I love how you see things in a more positive ways. Because every challenge that we're facing in life anyway will make us stronger.
Agree.
So thank you, and good to know everything, doing well. And for a lot of viewers out there who don't know who is Miss Peachie, what does she do? So give us a little bit background. Who is Miss Peachie Valera?
Yeah, sure. In the line of environment, so I started being a professional climate and sustainability consultant year 2014. That was also the year, as you mentioned in the introduction, where I became a climate reality leader of the Climate Reality Project. And then 2015, I work as TCRP Philippines National Coordinator for COP21, the Paris Agreement. And then after that, we continue holding talks, events, mobilizations, and working towards a climate movement. I started creatively producing projects and collaborations with different sectors because I figured the climate crisis is our top one environmental challenge in humanity, and we cannot solve it unless all of us are in together. So it's not just government. I feel it's not just a scientific community or coalition of international organizations that has the silver bullet, but our collective capacity and compassion. And then that led to Peachie Keen and Green. Yes. So 2017, that was the year after I lost my father. I birthed Peachie Keen and Green. I feel like it was part of my grieving. There was this part of me that wanted to share to the world the need, the beauty, and importance of being in harmony with nature. Because my dad, he always has this life lesson to me. It involves nature, and growing up, I feel like the online persona, was also a tribute to him. And I mentioned to you before, I'm not really a fan of social media because if given a chance, I'd enjoy myself more up in the mountains, just reading books, going off grid. But my close friends persuaded me to create this platform where I can share my green thoughts, tips, advices, events, talks, and articles. And it made sense. If you want to change the world's paradigm, social media is a helpful tool and to spread the messaging. So now I'm also a professional futurist. I integrate it with my environmental works, since I always say, what future do we have if the planet is dead anyways? And then I integrate the themes too of empathy, justice, equity, indigenous values, animal rights, rights of nature, and compassion. I don't want it to be plain scientific. When I started, it was just, okay, this is the science of the climate crisis. This is the science of what's happening to our land, air, and sea. Yeah. So there you go. With the futurism, and I feel like the empathy theme and the justice theme also goes well with my being a spiritual science researcher and advocate. So I also do intuitive counseling here, and part of the intuitive counseling, there's also eco psychology that comes into it because nature absolutely heals. So
Yes.
it's a holistic view on the nature and our relationship to it.
Yes, my God. Guys, if you don't know Miss Peachy, she has many hats. If you're gonna check out her Facebook or Instagram, you will find it like unbelievable, this woman. Anyway, so we're gonna break down the thing that you do. So we're gonna talk about sustainability. My next question is that how do you think that pandemic impacts sustainable development, especially in the Philippines, which we know it's very challenging? Does it make worse or create more opportunities? What are your thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Definitely, I ditto your challenging. And I always believe, and I keep saying that the COVID-19 pandemic is the lesson of our generation. It is a symptom of a deeper sickness caused by our apathy. As United Nations Environment Program presented the top 5 causes for zoonosis emergence, so we have deforestation, antimicrobial resistance spurred by the livestock industry, there's illegal wildlife trade, climate change, and agriculture and livestock production. We would think that we'd make changes, right, to prevent another pandemic to come about. Sadly, it's not the case in most countries, Philippines included. We are still not making the connections. So the sustainable development became a buzzword or trend, but we are not understanding its roots, its essence, its goals. And when the pandemic hit us, as expected, we were more concerned for ourselves, or physical human health, and that was priority. And it's a given. It's part of the human condition and reaction. But the next thing that there were overwhelming economic bias. Philippines is already economically biased for a long time, and I think it's a combination of our colonized history, the systemic greed and corruption, and are still being a third world country. We are clearly left behind by our ASEAN colleagues, and we want to play up, catch up thinking that having a healthy, quote unquote GNP means we have already arrived. But the interrelatedness, the way we still relate to everyone, to people, to animals, to nature, that's still lost because we refuse to accept that A, we only have finite resources, and B, we are part of nature, never above it. Whatever action we do or refuse to do ripples in our physical, natural reality. And instead of realizing we need to change in order to address the symptoms, we actually went the other way. Here we are, Philippines, full of economic talks and making premature decisions to address the COVID for the sake of economy and all that jazz. As a futurist, we also see that as short-sighted. Even with the election candidates, I'm hearing only a number of them talking about taking the climate crisis and other environmental issues, I would say, less seriously. For them, it's still about, I've heard this in one of the, it's still about planting trees. Like, it's similar across the board. And it becomes frustrating because that's not the only answer. Sustainable development is more complex than that. It's creating a resilient, future-fit system where reviving the economy does not lead to more damages in nature. So as for opportunities, it's lost in translation, perception, and implementation. But having said those things, it's not absolute. There are opportunities presented here aligned with sustainable development, but they are coming mostly from the NGOs, the INGOs, social enterprises, and from different pockets of movements. It's as if they're the ones advising or from them, they are the ones spreading that mindset, that concept. I think they're making more stride than our leaders or our system, the agencies.
Yeah.
There are movements, foundations, and organizations here that I'm really proud of, and also having done design with them, that are boldly pushing for regenerative design and development, which is even better than the sustainability model and philosophy.
Yeah, since you mentioned about the politics, because we were having a president candidacy, it's difficult because the culture, I see this in the Philippines over social media and the news, that what's really trendy in the Philippines would be more on how to be part of the trends. And I think if we can just, or someone who's very powerful and influential will start that program or platform, I think more people will take the action. But since more trendy now is, I don't know, like wearing new stuff, buying new clothes,
True.
right? And I know as one of the leaders in the Philippines, it can be frustrating for you, right? And I don't know, in terms of the changes or the progress of sustainable development in the Philippines, what can you say from last year when we talked to this year, early this year? How's the progress of talking this sustainable development in the Philippines? Has it slowly increasing, especially when you mentioned that it's very, very small talk with the candidates that running for presidency? What do you feel of where we are in terms of progress?
I think the progress, I would honestly, upon my with my observation, feel like, or maybe it's also my bias, it's still slow, and the highlight, it's really removed from where we should really go, or the path that we have to take. When I hear them, and since we're on the topic or line of politics, I understand that our economy really took a dent during the pandemic. That's true, and there were a lot of Filipinos who lost their job.
Yes.
I would wish that there was a revolutionary thinker or visionary in there who could simultaneously present a platform or a plan wherein you would be able to transition into a green future and provide jobs as well, green jobs, because I know there are a lot of European countries who are doing that. When they transition to renewables, they made a plan, there were alternatives, and made sure that the let's say the workers who used to work from the coal industry would be absorbed by the renewables industry. So something like that, in that way, in terms of creativity, and not just thinking about, I feel we keep on traditionally thinking the welfare of, we have this thing where we feel welfareism. I keep hearing this from politicians, the welfareism. But the thing with welfareism, it can't benefit all. Sometimes you have to give something up if you really want to make things work in a long-term basis. Like case in point, for example, traffic. We know we have a dense population in Metro Manila. The traffic here is really horrible. We have it like top 1 or top 2 worst in the world. And the thing is, the thing that they want to do is, for example, create road over the Pasig River, which we are really truly opposing. And not even the thought of regulating motorcycles or even cars, because we want to give that welfare. We want to please every class here in the Philippines. But something has to give. I mean, we really can't please everyone. But if there's a way we could let the Filipinos know this would be better in terms of efficacy, efficiency, and it should really expand. It's not just about roads, but it's also creating good systems in provinces. So we have that Balik Probinsya program, I think, at the onset of the pandemic, and I feel like they should try to follow through on that. And the reason why we're really dense here in Metro Manila is because of the people in the provinces losing opportunities, and I
Yes.
feel we have to focus on them as well, and that also contributes to the problem. So we have to see it as a complex being, and not just a simplistic solution as um, saying I'll create more roads. But even if we create more roads, the exponential growth of people flocking here to Manila is never going to stop, because we're not providing them good alternative living in the provinces.
Yes.
So things like that, and we keep saying no, but they want to live here, and that is their welfare. But sometimes we have to be that strict parent. We can't
Yes.
always be the one cuddling everyone. There should be a way that a leader would be strong enough and steadfast to go that route, and
Mm-hmm.
saying this is for the future, this is for long term.
Yes. It's just very sad, and I agree with you that it's not being covered in every part of the leaders that we are having. And unfortunately we just don't have this strong mindset how important our nature, our environment. And a lot of countries, neighboring countries, doing so many plans to say plastic ban, having a, what do you call it, separation of the trash bins and all of that. But I don't think it's very common in the Philippines. I don't know if you're following Nanette Medved. So she's the founder of Hope, diba? And
I have met her.
She started this the business. I forgot the name of the business, but she's also promoting everything with the sustainable development. And obviously, I got shocked when I actually got that research. And unfortunately, it's not also part in the news. There's so many great news to be spread out, but this is just one of those many things that we are not really focusing on. Well, very, very sad, but I hope that as part of the leader in the Philippines, as you are, I hope that we're not giving hope, because I truly believe slowly, even small things can make a difference. But I hope that we will keep up. As what you said, it's very slow. So hopefully we'll start having a race, not in a sense of competition, but really within our country, that where we at. Because I truly believe that one of the countries that really how do you call it, consuming air pollution or waste pollution will be Philippines, and it's very sad to know that, diba?
Yeah.
I think there are not so many people practicing like clean and green at home. So what will be your 3 tips, clean and green at home or eco-friendly, that everyone would be able to practice? Because I think you would agree, everyone nowadays would just like, give me something that I can do within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, within 15 minutes. I don't have much time, right? We're living in this kind of society, and it's very sad. But I think for other people who are really willing to make a change, even in the smallest way, what are your 3 tips, clean and green or eco-friendly at home?
Yeah, sure. I think starting with ourselves and our homes, I want to begin with waste. One of the things we can never remove from ourselves is our ability to generate waste. So I feel that we should be smart and mindful about it. And the first step we can do is segregate at source. And Filipinos forgo this because we always fall trapped to thinking that even if we segregate, once it ends up in the garbage truck, everything gets mixed, and more so in the landfill. But I explained to them that the reason everything is mixed already in the landfill because you mixed up your garbage in the first place. And the garbage collectors, once they see this, they make that decision, that snap decision to put them all in a landfill, because the volume of trash we spew every second, by tons, by trucks, the collectors do not have the luxury of time and energy to segregate it for you. And then once the trash ends up in our landfill and mixed with different kinds of waste, even hazardous and toxic waste, they decompose in an unnatural way, which exacerbates or worsens our toxic GHG, or what we call greenhouse gas emissions. And here there are a lot of organizations and social enterprises we can donate our trash to. So when you want to donate to them, segregate. And then there are some organizations here who turn plastics into public school chairs, eco lumber, and various infrastructures. You mentioned Annette Medved. Before, we worked with her in DNR, and it was the Hope in a Bottle project, and there's Hope in a T-shirt. And then they also collect plastic. And there are those who repurpose even fabric waste or recycle paper completely. And then there are malls. So it's making it more convenient for you. You go to the mall. There are lots of malls here, like Ayala malls, even small to medium establishments, partnering with the organizations to become collection point. So you can go to the mall, haul your waste, and you can chuck it there. And there are even apps. So
what about SM Mall? Do they have it?
I think I'm not so sure. I think I'm not sorry, but I do not frequent SM that much. But I know SM Foundation used to have something like that. I don't know. I heard it from someone, but
you have mentioned that there's an app, no?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an app. Okay.
Yeah, there are lots of us with smartphones. There are apps where you can even book a collector who can buy your different waste as long as you segregate it. And for example, I'm in Quezon City, QC. We have this Baso Hero program. So Baso Hero is like a play on the word basurero. For those our foreign audience, it means garbage collector, basurero. And then there's a scheduled visit. You can schedule a meetup or for them to visit your house. They will buy your garbage. And all you have to do is research. And I keep saying, in this internet age and all, that should be easy. Okay. And for our other ways, like food, compostable or organic waste, if we could please compost, because our soil is nearing its extinction. There are studies now, they say perhaps or projected by 60 years, our soil may become extinct with our current practices and what's happening. And we need to do all we can to save it. I keep saying our humanity soul is rooted to the soil. Without it, there's starvation and intense biodiversity loss if we really lose it. And for plastic waste, you mentioned it, and to share to some of those who don't know it, the Philippines ranked 3. Imagine that. We're such a small country, but we're 3rd in the world who contribute to ocean waste, plastic ocean waste. So I keep saying refuse single plastic as much as possible. Straws, plastic bags, styros, packaging, things that we can do away. If you need straw, for example, those with disabilities, there's a reusable one. At least it's pretty popular here. And I would say plastic is forever. There's only a number of times you can recycle plastic. It does not go away. It just loops in our system and makes the planet and us sick. And do you know that 9% of the world's total plastic waste is the only percent that's being recycled? So just imagine those numbers. And they discovered that we're already inhaling microplastics, invisible nanoplastics. So it's in our system. That's what's happening.
Not even that. I think since you mentioned that in the ocean, it means that we are also eating microplastic already. And that's
Yes,
scary.
correct.
So I just want to share with everyone watching or listening right now, especially in the Philippines, if you don't know how to do the segregation or the separation, ask people, because in every province there's always a department or a team of people who are dedicated to assist this questions that you have or concerns. And also for other people who don't know how to start, there's always a way to separate your trash in at home. And I know it's difficult or challenging that if someone of your friends don't do it and you feel like outcasts, that you're not part of it. But just remember, our nature, we only have one place to live. There's no plan B. So if if you watch that, don't look up, you know what I'm saying. And yeah, so everyone out there, being part of the trends, buying new stuff, buying plastic stuff, single use kind of paper, plastic, or everything, something related with that. Please, please, please make sure that you take part, even small. If you planning to buy what in Starbucks, and it's a hot coffee, or if you're in Manila, try to bring your own cup. And I think,
BIOBs.
right, and also, like, I think most of the big chains now, for example, Starbucks, they're also offering some discount if you bring your own cup, no?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah,
And it's
so
happening here too. So we're happy about that.
yeah, but I would just like to share a little bit. In UK, when we visited, it's everywhere. It's just like big label outside. If you bring your
Yeah.
own cup, you have a discount. But I don't know in the Philippines, because we visit very rare. But the last time I visited, there's no such thing. Only if you ask, right?
The last time I visited a Starbucks, so I always BYOB too. I just noticed it was told to me. I did not see any sign at the
Precisely.
doorway, but I was informed. Oh, by the way, since you brought your own mug, we'll give you a discount. I hope it changed now. So
I hope so too.
yeah.
So everyone, you want to make a trend for a better.
That's true.
Like, really, if you want to bring your own cup, it's not really, because I think a lot of people now prefer convenience, and I do understand that. For example, doing the grocery, it's easier to just have from the vendor, from the store. But actually, it's easier to have your own. Only if emergency, then instead of throwing that straight away, you can recycle it and use it as your plastic for trash. So I think there are a lot of ways to really practice at home, even the small action. And guys, don't think about 100 steps and then you ended up not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's
And
why.
the second step, actually, I could offer the audiences when it comes to electricity and water, because this one, I feel like it's pretty easy. It's like turn on, turn off, just simple as that. And to give you an idea, our world's aquifers is drying up, and we know we need water to survive, right? And I keep telling my audience too, if you see leaking faucet, pipe, or toilet bowl in public, just report it immediately. And for you as well, when you see it at your house, make sure you do something about it, because we were told that even the simple drip, it tabs into your water bill. So it's for practicality as well. And electricity, we have not fully transitioned to full renewables, and majority of Philippines' energy source is still coal, and coal is a dirty fossil fuel, and it's a top contributor to climate change. So by logic, you overuse or waste electricity, you increase your carbon footprint. So here I would say use electric fans instead of air cons if it's cool enough. Spend time outside. Shift to LEDs. Develop hobbies if you can that do not need the use of gadgets, or better read or have engage in sports or arts, and unplug when not in use. Something that I want to share too, like a trivia. When you have your TV or radio or laptop, and then there's this red light still on, because it's turned off but it's still plugged, and essentially it's still siphoning electricity from the outlet, and we call that vampire electricity. and that accounts for the world's 2 plus plus carbon of the world, and that also goes into your electrical bill.
Electrical bill. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there are two ways. I mean, two things we learned that there is that you practicality, you save electricity bill. The second is that also for fire hazard. I mean, right?
Mhm.
To prevent from fire if in case that you leave your stuff
Mhm.
plugged. So thank you for sharing that unplug.
Yeah, sure. I have a
Helpful.
friend, by the way, and that's true story. And really, I have to support what you said. I have a friend, the whole house burned down because they left the. I think there was a, the baby sterilizer to sterilize the bottles and
Yes,
all.
yes, yes,
They
yes.
left it plugged. It was
Oh,
off, but it was plugged. But it was the cause of the fire.
oh my
So
God.
they lost the whole house to it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh God. So anyway, there you go, guys. Listen to that. Make sure when you are not using
Yeah.
any electrical or electronics, make sure to unplug it. So we have that. So what's your we are now covering the third tip, no?
Yeah, sure. I think my third, or let's say if it's my top three, if we could eat more plants or
Oh,
and
I
learn
love
how
it.
to garden. Yeah, even if we don't have, let's say, a backyard or anything like that, everyone can learn if you just Google survival gardening. So they can teach you about pocket gardening, and for those without surrounding areas with soil, there are ways on how to do that. Some even utilize their roofs.
Mhm.
So we can even garden in our roofs. And the moment we grow our own food, we do make ourselves healthier, closer to the soil, and lessen our carbon footprints in terms of diet and transportation of goods. And the last time we talked, I also want to stress again that animal agriculture, both land and sea, it's really killing our planet. And some of the links that you can visit for more information would be plantbasedtreaty.com.
Mhm.
And some of the documentaries I can recommend would be The Dominion, Game Changers, Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, What the Health, and yeah, they could explain better, and it's a visual manner. And since we're here in the pandemic, I feel we should prioritize really our health and
I,
beneficial, right?
yes.
The beneficial effect of going plant-based is that our health is optimized as long as we're not eating just junk food,
Oh
and
no.
can reverse a lot of lifestyle diseases. I just read an article recently that there are now medical institutions and bodies highly recommending vegan food to be given to the frontliners since
Mm,
it offshores vaccine efficacy. So, yeah. So there.
yeah,
Mhm.
I want to stress that out. Actually, I have completed or I have interviewed. She's a wellness and nutritionist coach, and we cover healthier lifestyle, obviously, and sustainable as well. And I would support on that. If obviously for our culture in the Philippines, it's not easy to give up, and we're not asking people to give up. Instead of giving up, like really lessen the consumption of, say, meat, also fish, actually, and then just really, because I don't know if we have this more educational or information about vegetables that are really rich in iron, rich in protein, because we
Mhm.
all know that meat and fish are good for this. Where in fact, even just having vegetables or greens, you'll get all of those,
Mhm.
right?
Definitely, and they can visit the American National. I think it's a Health Institute for Nutrition. I forgot the acronym, but yeah, but it there in their site, they will tell you that, from even from pregnancy, from baby into mature age, the vegan diet is a complete diet as long as you have your research, because you're mentioning iron. So there are plants that really are rich in iron, and
Yes.
uh, even protein, because some of the myths that come with it is, okay, so how about the protein? But can you imagine that one hamburger is just equal to 3/4 cup of chickpeas, and
Yeah.
that's just clean protein without any of the cholesterol or antibiotics that come with it. So yeah, and the good thing is, here it's growing, the movement is growing, and I agree with you that it's different with our culture, because attached to our culture is the pride of, let's say, for example, you being able to have lechon on your birthday. That's a familial pride, and that's saying to the world, my status enables me to have lechon on my birthday. So when we analyze, it's really deep seated how we relate to our food. And part of really educating Filipinos about veganism is not only about the health, the accessibility, and debunking the myths, but also trying to let them see or have an internal conversation with themselves about why why would I still cling to, let's say, a diet that can be hazardous to me and the environment. So it's
Mm-hmm.
more of an internal check. And it's, like I said, for me, it's also understanding where they're coming from. When I mentor fellow Filipinos or even friends from outside, because I do that on the side, sometimes there's mentoring. I really don't say, okay, you can check this site, there are recipes here. It's part of it. But first, I want to chat with them. Why do you want to transition?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that makes you want to transition? Is it because of health, for animal rights reasons, or environmental, etc.? So I want to get to the root of who they are and how they're making these lifestyle decisions, because it's really big. It's life changing for anyone. Even for me, when I underwent it, it was a struggle at first. But I keep saying, once I got over the fence, I never could imagine myself going back. So
Yes.
I want them to feel that too, that it's a journey and not just something that could guilt them or make them feel have feelings of shame or guilt. Because I know there are some vegans who can be antagonistic, and I feel their pain, like they're angry. The common things that they're saying is, okay, the world is already burning and you still won't make that change. And I keep saying, if we become angry and antagonistic like that, we can never get people to listen to us in the first place, because
Yes.
humans, we are wired differently. We don't respond to logic once emotions overcome it. So it's important that we really level with the people and connect with them first before and get to know them, how they are responding to this, how are they reacting, because it's like therapy.
Yes.
You have to walk with them too, and
Yes.
it has to change this mindset. It's a hard thing to change. Growing up, we built our mindset. It's really strong, diba? There's ego that comes with it, so we have to break that. We have to teach them to unlearn, relearn, and
Yes.
and all of those things. And it's really hard processes that come with it.
Yes. Agree. I just want to add on that. Um, a lot of us, kasi we usually have this belief that we are this way, but in reality, we are not. We can change. We can rewire our beliefs and whatever. But of course, it's tough. We are going to cover on the next question, right? What will be the tips for living a healthier lifestyle? Especially, I don't know, maybe not all people would like to change their healthy lifestyle, but if for some people that really committed to live a healthier lifestyle, what can you give them tips?
Mm-hmm. Um, when I talk about health, sometimes I'm with tandem, right, with nutritionists or doctors, and they're plant-based, just so there's someone of authority could really second what I'm saying. And from my background, I also tell the people that health is deeply intertwined and dependent on planetary health. The
Mm-hmm.
moment we make decisions that make the planet sick, eventually we will also fall into that place.
Place,
It
yeah.
does not matter if, let's say, you keep eating organic food, if you keep eating just plant-based, but the moment that there's air pollution in your area, and we're still inhaling microplastics, and there's lots of waste abounding our surroundings or environment, eventually we will become sick. And that's
Mm.
scientifically proven. I mean, when we study air pollution, what it does to our nervous system, our endocrine system, it's really bad. And the reason why I also inject those points is for us to realize that becoming healthier is a full holistic commitment. It's not just planning our diet, but it's also considering how things are interconnected. That the moment I say, for example, I keep advocating for either this kind of diet, or let's say I keep still using plastic, etc., I'm also contributing to that problem, and eventually it comes back to me. And that I start with that, but also on a personal level, is you just keep doing what you feel. uh, these things, these tips, eventually it will become a habit, and it is easier.
Mm.
For me, healthy is not physically, so not just physical, it's also an emotional and mental. We're talking about emotional and mental health as well, and as
Yes.
WHO also describes health, it's physical, mental, and emotional. And for the physical, we can cover that. For me, I would say really holistic plant-based diet, and organic as much as possible, and if you can, or all natural at the very least, because the amount of stuff and toxins that we put, we bombard our produce or crops with, that's also being studied, and it's now concluded that it leads to different types of cancers and
Yeah.
disruptions within
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
system. Right? What we put, in our soil, it comes back to us. And for mental and emotional health, I feel that this is something that we need to have a better look on. When I did a study, what was that? I think 2020 with WHO, latter part of the year, we predicted, or we projected, that within this decade, the top one mental illness would be mental health illness or disease or conditions. So it's not surprising. I mean, the rates of suicides have been increasing. We know that the pandemic and what's happening, this disruption, made people anxious and really nervous, and there's a lot of depression around. And um, for that, I feel read a lot of books, I would say, on self-help or inspirational books, but also try to talk to a therapist. It would not hurt, to have a professional take a look, because you might be suffering from something that's either biochemical in reaction, or something that would need, let's say, support from the medical side. And yeah, I feel like we also need to expand our modalities when it comes to healing. There are lots of alternatives out there, like for example, energy healing, yoga, meditation.
Mm.
And I really believe in those studies that says that what ailment or illnesses we have is also manifested from what kind of chaos we have from within.
Sad. Yeah.
So there's a Harvard study that says our chronic pains, for example, we have sciatica or have back pains and frozen shoulders all the time, it may be rooted from some kind of inner trauma or some kind of pain or stress that we're holding on into. So it's important that we learn about breathing, about meditation, exercises. That helped me, that helped me before, and even yoga, and try to explore more about what others are doing in terms, because there are communities, right? There are forums helping each other when it comes to providing solutions for people undergoing anxiety or stress. But like I said, try to talk to a therapist first. And it's a good
Yes.
thing here. There are hotlines, both suicide and also hotlines from the government, offering free consultation.
I just want to add on that, for a lot of people, one of my classmates all actually mentioned this to me, that there are so many people, and I would agree on this, so many people deep inside actually with anxiety or depression or struggling, but you are pretending. You
Mm-hmm.
know, for people right now listening and watching this, this is part of the tips from Peachy about living a healthier lifestyle. Don't be afraid to open up if you're struggling, really, because that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength that you're surrendering for something that beyond your control. And without opening up with, let's say, family members or friends, colleagues, or therapists, you wouldn't know how small it can be, to cure it. But if you let it go bigger and bigger, maybe it's too late. So really, this is what I'm always telling to people, that asking for help is not a weakness. But I think a lot of people now, again, we going back to the ego and pride,
Mm-hmm.
that you know you're afraid being judged, you're afraid for what other will people say. It's really like going down to your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it important to you? That is it important for you to really listen what other people would say, or it's really important for you to recover to who you usually being? And yeah, so eating right food is just one of those things. But
Mm-hmm.
also I want to add on that is having the right environment, that being just open, transparency. I think it's getting difficult now to be open with family members or friends or colleagues. But if you're not comfortable, that's what Peachy said. There's a hotline. Don't be afraid. Just think about how important your life is,
Yeah, and
So,
it can really change. I mean, I understand that. I underwent some of those things, and it's really daunting to be vulnerable. Like, you don't want to expose yourself, and you feel like, okay, I can weather this. But there comes a point when you just really have to, like you mentioned, surrender and seek for help. May it be a spiritual seeking, but also in tandem with what's physical, because we're still physical beings.
yes. Yes. So, yeah. So, thank you for sharing that. That's very actually strong and helpful, healthier lifestyle, that it's not all about in food, but also like emotionally, mental. So,
Sure. Yeah.
despite of, all of these things that you're facing, being a leader of this very serious yet very helpful and very impactful project. So, I want to ask you, how do you keep yourself optimistic? Perhaps there's also other ways for other people to learn it from you, to
Yeah,
keep
sure.
themselves optimistic.
Okay. So for me, I've gathered and really took notes of what I experienced since high school or even grade school.
Hmm.
And for me, something that I would like to share to the audience, I'm considered an empath. And this is what the empath, as described by Dr. Judith Orloff, meaning I grew up absorbing energies from other and emotions from other people or
Mhm.
places, even. And absorbing others' emotions can put you in such a chaotic and constant turmoil place, especially if you're unaware that the other's emotion, it does not belong to you. I
Hmm.
learned that equilibrium is my best friend when it comes to this, and the one that will keep me positive. And there is merit to work-life balance. So first, I would like to say, uh, right now, it's important that we also be kind to ourselves when it becomes too much, because there, if we keep working and working and just living in order, living in order to work, that kind of equation, uh, it's going to really put you in a place of discontent. And make sure you listen to your intuition. I do that too. I listen to my inner world and attune not only to myself but even to my family. So I would not exhaust myself, overextending via work, especially the pro bono ones. And reading, uh, that keeps me up. It does not matter what genre and does not always have to be self-help or inspirational, but they help a lot. And reading, because it keeps you always in wonder and discovery, and being in wonderment and curiosity helps us, our positivity and our imagination. It's those things make you release your endorphins and serotonins. And one thing I also do, I practice gratitude. I make it a point. So there's this practice I discovered in one of my Psychology Today magazines. Say, make it a point to be thankful for at least three things for the day. It may be simple. So for me, I thank the divine, like simple as as our cat coming home to us safely, or me not having to do a laundry for a day. And it makes you focus on things you comfortably still have. So for all of us, for example, you and me, we still eat square meals per day, right? But others, I said, no matter how you hated the lunch you ordered, if you are eating square meals per day, as opposed to your fellow men who's starving day in, day out, that perspective, be thankful for that, even if you hated it, because you were filled, you were you were able to gain nourishment. So that perspective helps in rewiring our brain and emotion. It makes us more positive as opposed to focusing on the negative all the time. And I also do meditation and energy healing. I read a lot on spirit science and how also um, still theories abounding. How we are how we are balls of energy, and how we affect each other too, and how we can, with our brain frequencies, rewire ourselves. So it's a little bit of quantum physics, and in a way. And I spend a lot of time nature bathing. So this is connected to my environment loving side. When I'm down, our garden's the only thing, I ground myself, walk barefoot there, and immediately my energy goes up. It helps me sustain that optimism. And I think lastly, you mentioned it, and I remembered there's a study by Harvard. It's an 80-year study that concludes that our happiness um, is reliant on the relationships that we cultivate. So this study, according to their subjects and decades worth of research, which started post World War II, they say it's all about relationships. So the type of relationships we have and the way we uphold them contributes to the level of positivity and optimism. So they found out that that factor high in the happiness metrics. And I think it's absolutely true. For me, I'm my most shining self when I'm amidst the people I love and care for. And my daughter, for one, when I'm really down and depressed, but I just see her, I light up. It's She's the one constant in the world that will always give me that optimism and hope, even in my darkest, desensitized, and really weary, tired days. But yeah, I feel everyone can relate to this. There would be that person. Doesn't have to be a family member if you're not really in good terms with your family, but relationships. They say, diba, no man is an island, and
Yes.
I feel that's completely true. That's part of our human wiring.
Agree, and wow, that's a lot of tips out there to being optimistic. I just want to highlight one thing though, that about the gratitude. I don't know, but I have this feeling that most of us, because of the how fast our society, the fast pace, that we neglect even tiny thing. that we can be grateful for. You know, having the electricity, having the laptop, having, if you're a very material person, everything in front of you is already a blessing. If you are very into relationship, as long as you have one person that you're close with that you can reach out, that's already a blessing. And you have a job, even though you don't like it, by end of the day, maybe, not maybe, but it's giving you something beneficial. It pays the bills. You know, not everyone would have that. And I think I just want to reiterate that really gratitude can be anything. Like having a conversation with you, it's a blessing, you know, and having this, the beauty, the other beauty of pandemic is that despite of not able to meet up in person, we can still communicate, we can still contact each other. And truly, even though with the pandemic, if we want to always have optimism or positivity in our lives, we can always find ways, and it's not difficult. Really, it's not difficult. Mm-hmm. But of course, if you're facing struggles in life, then that's where we are going back to the earlier that you have to speak with someone that you can trust. So, wow, that's a lot. Yeah. And I hope that everyone actually learn so many things about optimism, especially because we needed that. I think we need to have as many as possible. And I always tell this in my social media that, you know, try as many as different approaches and then figure things out whichever work for you, because they would say journaling doesn't work for me, meditation doesn't work for me. Okay, as long as you try and you said that it doesn't work, then figure things out. So
yeah, there has to be that commitment, like I'm not giving up on myself, because the moment you do that, you lose hope. They say if you abandon that hope, it's really you paving your own, you digging up your own hole. So I know it can be hard, but even if, let's say, still things are not going your way, just say there's always tomorrow to reset. Yes. So we have to have that growth mindset. Yeah, yes. Not just a fixed mindset that, okay, this is a lost cause. Because I've talked to some of our agents and some even friends that we counsel, that they are afraid that even if they try, it would always fail. And I always point out, but you already dictated how it will go. You assumed it might fail, or there's a potential for it to fail. How about you think that if you did not even try it and it did work, how would you feel if you did not go through it in the first place? You know, and it's successful. Wouldn't it be something for you to even just try? Because if it becomes successful, then that's a big win for you.
Yes, the shift is shifting is very important. So this goes to the mindset that we talked about. So thank you very much, Peachie. And of course, for the rest of the people who wants to know the other hats of Peachie, so I have mentioned that, but maybe you can share where they can find you in your social media.
Yeah, sure. So please do find me and we can have a chat. And all my handle is Peachie Keen and Green, both for Facebook and Instagram. And a lot of my friends are saying, go make Twitter, but I say I still have not the bandwidth.
It's okay.
For that.
You have to.
So just FB and IG. So I grow both accounts in a slow and organic manner, just like our garden. Yes. So happy to connect with you guys there.
There you go, guys. Please make sure to message or follow Peachie on her Instagram or Facebook, Peachie and Keen and Green. And I'm sure there will be a lot of things that you will resonate and find it interesting to find out more about Peachie. So Peachie, before I let you go, if there's something powerful message that you want to share to people out there, whatever that it is that comes into your mind, what do you want to share to people?
Ooh, that's tricky. A lot of saying goes to my mind, but yeah, I feel like I can go with I know it's overused a lot of times, but it still resonates. With Gandhi's "Be the change that you want to see in the world."
Go.
Uh, Sometimes we're just waiting for people to do something about anything, and we end up nothing being done about anything because we're just waiting. But how about we become that change, no matter how small, but it starts with us.
Awesome. There you go. I love it. Start the change now. Don't wait until the time is perfect, because there's no perfect time. The perfect
Mhm.
time is always now. So start the change within you. So thank you so much, Peachy, for the time and for providing us a very valuable information, not only about sustainability, but also about emotional and mental health that we covered earlier. And so, everyone out there, please follow Peachy Keen and Green on her social media. And yeah, so don't forget to share this video as well. So we grow our website organically, just like for Peachy Keen and Green. So thank you so much, Peachy. Appreciate your time. And yes.
Yes. Likewise, my gratitude for this moment, Cindy, and to all of those who tuned in.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy that interview and I hope you find it inspiring and motivating. Remember, stay optimistic and keep taking action slowly but surely for your big dreams. Thank you once again, and I'll see you on the next episode here at Empower Your Life.